work session for Tuesday, September 2nd of 2025 to order. Thank you for the time, taking time out of your day to be here this morning. We will get right into it. I will ask Councilwoman Mack if you would to please lead us in invocation. We'll follow that by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Civility Pledge. For those of us, those of you in the audience, I invite you to pray, stand and pray in your faith and pray in ours.
Let us pray. Most holy and everlasting Father, thou art God and God alone. Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for allowing us to come and assemble ourselves in the city of Hartsville that we love so much. Father, we pray that you would enter now with your spirit, touch our hearts and minds. Father, let us work in agreement and let us do things that are just and fair, what are right and good for every citizen, every service, and every section in the city of Hartsville. Father, we pray for our city, we pray for our state, and we pray for our nation and our world, Lord. You know all about it, and your hand is not too short that you can't save. Your ear is not dull that you can't hear us. So Father, we ask you today for your mercy, your loving kindness, and your tender mercies that you show to us every day. Father, we pray that you would keep us in your divine care as you have always done. These and all of the blessings we ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, we do pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll lead off the civility pledge. I pledge
To build a stronger and more prosperous community by advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of our city or town.
Read the topic there.
So that is the one from the website. We have a better version. We made it. So. You Brenda? Okay. Sorry.
Well, it's your turn now.
Okay.
Time for a discussion, starting off with a proposal to change November meeting.
Yep. Before that, I didn't include on here, but just a quick manager update. 2 projects ongoing at Recreation. We're finally getting ready to start on the walking trail, not the running track. That's ongoing right now, as well as the tennis courts resurfacing. So if you haven't gotten out there already, go take a look. It's looking really good. But we're very excited. We got our contractor finally lined up after he's very, very busy to do the walking trail. Dempsey's doing that for us, so we're excited. I do have 4 items for you today. One is a quick one. November 11th, we always schedule, of course, the second Tuesday of every month for our city council meeting, but this one inevitably falls on Veterans Day. We will be closed. We are still having our Veterans Day celebration at Bird Park, but we need to move the date. So I'm not going to be taking any action from you guys. In your packet, you should have gotten the calendar that shows it. As we talked about before, in years past, when this has happened, we have either moved it to the Monday, or we've moved it to the Tuesday before, or potentially that Wednesday. The Tuesday before, though, is Election Day, so that's not a good day to do it. The Monday before, now we have airport, so that's another not good day to do it. So we're going to send out a kind of survey, what do you guys want to do, but we'll need a decision by next week. We're going to schedule that so we can get appropriate timing. Any questions on that? It just is, we schedule this out every year and it just happens sometimes. Okay. All right, next is House of Hope has done a request, and this is kind of a formal request for some monies to contribute to their new project. They have acquired a building at 221 West Carolina Avenue through a private donation, and they are seeking assistance from the city for some specific items that will need to be done so they can get started. The first one is a roof repair. They have a quote for $67,000, $440. And then HVAC for $17,547, totaling about $85,000. If you recall, we did obligate ARPA money for this, the American Rescue Plan money, $150,000 to acquire a structure within Hartsville. That ultimately did fall through with House of Hope. They returned the monies that we had given to them, which is about $45,000 at the time, and that money had been re-obligated. So that's the kind of key here. ARPA money, I do feel like is still the best use of the funding to secure this if we do choose to do this. The only monies that are available is from the 6th Street swath. Everything else has been obligated. It is relatively close to that, and it is impacting the community. So the recommendation is to take from that section of money which was $85,000 of the $400,000 is there. We have already, as I said, we've already obligated all this money, so it has to fit in a certain criteria. This is the only one it fits into to do. That would leave us with about $65,000 left over in that Sixth Street money. So this is kind of open for discussion. Again, we did support House of Hope before. They are trying to raise an additional, I think, 1.6 million in addition to starting it out. This will be a office space for House of Hope, including Interfaith Ministries is going to be there, as well as a emergency warming shelter, so it won't be open all the time, only in the event of emergency, cold weather event, hot weather event. But for the most part, it'll just be getting House of Hope services for the residents, then push them over to the Forum's main office. They did want to have a presence here in Hartsville, and that's the location they chose to buy. We didn't have any discussion with them where they were going to buy it. It was zoned for it, and it was on the market. So, what questions you got?
And United Way?
United Way is not going to be involved in this at all. It's Interfaith Ministries, and they're going to have an office space they're letting them rent from. I think I'm not sure what the arrangement is, but for the most part, it will be House of Hope services in the front, and then we want an emergency shelter in the rear.
Okay, question, you said the initial 150K was obligated, but then it was re-obligated.
So if you recall, the way the ARPA money was done, we had the $3.8 million we got, had to obligate it by the end of 2024.
Yeah.
So it unfortunately came at just the wrong time. When they gave the money back, we had to re-obligate that in December, so we did. Now, we have spent, all the money's been obligated for different things.
I guess. Well, my question is, where was it re-obligated to? What project?
Several different projects.
Okay,
So we had that meeting, the Hearts Vision Strategic Planning meeting last year. We had different proposals. One was street lightings downtown, master plan, city entrance signs, various things.
Yeah, so if money has been re-obligated, that means this project goes away.
Well, the original 150 went away. This is asking if you guys want to spend within a obligation for other projects, which was the 6th Street revitalization, corridor revitalization, doing that out of that swath of money. Otherwise, we can't, there's no other ARPA money available.
So what's the deadline for this money to be spent? I mean,
So
for ARPA fund.
that's the kicker. I want to do this as a reimbursement. I also want to do significant clawbacks of it. So for instance, if the building is not completed and they sell it, I want all money back to the city of Hartsville.
Gotcha.
They would have to spend it, so we're not giving them $85,000. It'd be complete reimbursement. In fact, I might even pay the companies directly as opposed to paying House of Hope. But again, the agreement would be that I would want clawbacks in it, that we get the money back if something were to change. Their intended purpose is to move forward though and open up the location.
Dan, how much is being reallocated from Sixth Street project?
It would be $85,000.
Okay, what is the total number of the Sixth Street?
$400,000. And we did use the CDBG monies for the Washington Street. That came from that section of money. That was $250,000 for our match. So that's where that remaining $65,000 is left over. And if you recall, we were looking at purchasing a property over by Pride Park, and we're going to use that money for it. That's still an option should that go forward. So that does exist still. The reason why we do actually have a little bit extra money in this account versus the 4th Street project, we had intended to do the master plan split between 4th Street, South Hartsville area, and also 4th Street because they were affecting both. Unfortunately, when we tried to put it all in, it could only fit into one category. So all the monies for 4th and Railroad for the master plan, $150,000, was taken out of that. That's why this is left untouched at this point. It should have had $87,500 taken out, or $75,000.
Ms. Mack, back to your question about the United Way, part of the serendipity of that location is that it's walkable from the soup kitchen United Way Grand Center. So that if someone walks in and needs a particular service the House of Hope doesn't offer, they can say, well, you know, and Rubicon is walkable too, just for the middle way.
Yeah.
But the intention is to have a coordinated effort amongst everybody.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just, I think we discussed that when she was here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interested in the roofing project that she's going to be starting on. And that was why I asked about the United Way. But the other question, Dan, so what is the total amount of funding left in the South Hartsville area and Sixth Street?
That would be the 65,000.
Okay.
If you should take it from the obligated.
Yeah.
There are other options to do when we have fund balance available. I am leaning away from that because I like to keep this at one-time use funds. This does potentially open up the idea that we are giving money again to another organization without an agreement. The ARPA funding is a little more flexible to spend. I think fund balance should be reserved for projects that we are kind of missioning being part of. So
The intention is in the future, we could have a formal agreement.
for services,
For services
yeah, we
provided.
could, but if not, I wouldn't enter into anything.
It's different than this, yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that the money that was set aside for South Hartsville, we need to find something else if what we had planned on
Yeah.
falls through.
Yeah.
We need to find
Oh,
another project in the South Hartsville area and not take money away from there and give it to, and I mean, I love the House of Hope.
Yeah.
But we have to remember, that South Hartsville is behind.
Yeah.
And we don't want the funding to be given to another organization and we not still be considered because there are still things that can be done there.
Yeah, absolutely.
According to the master plan.
And that's exactly, it's an excellent point.
Yes.
So if you look at what we're doing on 4th Street, which we're gonna talk about in a little bit, we're not using ARPA funds for that, we're using our fund balance to pay for that, because that is a city project we need to do. The same thing would happen on 6th Street. So we do have some monies left over, in ARPA, but those type of projects rise to a level where even ARPA might not be able to fund it as much. We're talking, for instance, with 4th Street, which we're gonna get to, that's almost a $3.3+ million project, which we have 20% obligation to do.
Yes.
It's 20%, 10% I'm gonna get to it, 10% we can apply for assistance with. And so that type of project is significant and it needs to be, I think, a priority of the city. And so we will be looking at that type of funding for those type of projects. So absolutely.
And your point too, I think, speaks to why I asked, that we include fallbacks.
Yes.
That if it, God forbid, the project falls through, we'll be able to recover that funding.
Right.
And then apply it to.
And we have restrictions, it needs to be spent by the end of 2026, so these are things that we would put in. I do think that because we're operating with a private organization, we can get these clawbacks, and it's not like a loan or anything like that, there's nothing pending on it.
That's
Yeah,
something.
okay, I agree, we call it clawback or callback?
I'm calling it clawback.
Clawback, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea for any project or any future endeavor we, tend to look at. So now, we're not obligated to give them total 84,000.
No, you're not, well, I mean, those are the two things they requested.
They threw out.
They have, I think the building, just some quick numbers, was about $500,000.
Yeah, I heard.
I believe they have about $600,000 in, funding, that includes that $500,000. So
Yeah.
they had money to go towards these things. These were more immediate things that could get them started. And the request was that they hope that when the city is contributing, then other people will contribute. We've heard this
Yeah.
similar conversation before.
Okay, my first thought is, what's priority is the roof. I don't have a problem, we gotta start. You don't get the roof done, you get your hose.
Yeah.
I'm open. I don't know if we're gonna make a decision today on this, but,
Now I'm gonna be bringing to you guys next week
Okay.
with a resolution obligating the funding. And again, it's, the two kickers are A, it's reimbursement, so they have to spend the money first.
got it.
And then B, it's the clawbacks I have to get finalized. So I'm gonna be meeting with our attorney, talking about what we can do to make this happen. Meet with House of Hope to make sure this happens. This is what I want to bring to you guys first, see if you're agreeable before I even present them with my counter.
And so, to your point, that this is, next week, we would be voting up to this dollar amount.
Gotcha.
So if the invoice or whatever came in over, this is the max.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We should be voted.
Okay.
Yeah, should pass it.
But today you need us to decide on no.
Well, today I need to know your thoughts on if you're agreeable moving forward with this. Not to vote on it, but I'm gonna bring it forward next
I don't
week.
mind moving forward with it.
I mean, the roof is, again, it's for business, you wanna get the roof done first, so
Oh,
you can
yeah.
start doing
Yeah, of
things.
course.
HVAC, if you recall, we were in there.
Bring in a couple fans
Well, I think it needs more than a few fans, but,
and a heater or something.
yeah. Well, good news is the weather's getting cooler, so. These are both local bidders though, who did it,
Okay.
You know, one other thing with the House of Hope. I asked the question about people from outside of Hartsville coming to the House of Hope. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't want it to get in a position that it serves people that do not live in Hartsville, that are coming off at exit 164 and coming to Hartsville, and then using Hartsville's taxpayers' dollars, versus residents that live in the city of Hartsville.
And I think John did address that, but that's a better question for John Weiss.
Yeah,
with House of Hope.
well, he did.
Yeah, they would take
Yeah.
those individuals to Florence.
The goal is this is a satellite location,
Yeah.
and the goal, again, as they stress, was to get them to the main services in Florence, which is better equipped to handle it. The site is rather large, so it has a lot of room in there, as one of us is very familiar with, to do a warming shelter with, and I believe they want to split between, have men and women, women and children in separate, rooms, security, that type of thing, and it'd be staffed by House of Hope, not us, which
Right.
is a big deal for us. Cause right now, with Reverend Blue doing his thing, we are, significant staff involvement for the most part. I know the mayor's been involved trying to get stuff over to them, so this would really kind of help, get them the services they really need.
Yeah.
So, and I know it'd be good for Reverend Blue to not have to take that burden.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Have any other organizations approached us about using this money, and why or why not? Was it a good fit for them?
Yes, and I don't necessarily know why or not was a good fit. So the ARPA money has been around since 2021, I think is when I came in, 22. It was some stimulus money that the federal, we got from the federal government. That has been discussed. We've had other people request the funding. The last organization that we supported through this funding was Humane Society. Because we need them to bring our animals to, and at the time, how many dogs last week or the week before? 14 dogs. We rounded up. So we needed them to be, so it was more of a partnership and engaging with them as a organization. The same thing can be done for this. We're looking for organizations that can provide kind of a service back to us. PDRTA is one we do in our general fund. Trees for Tomorrow we fund through our general fund. So Humane Society was an idea to fund them for a partnership in the same vein. The idea is to do something similar with them because they will be providing emergency services for our residents to us. Anyone else who hasn't really provided, or it's because there's not a service that they can provide back to us. So yes, we have been approached. Yes, this will potentially open us up to maybe more requests. That's a risk you guys take with any decision we make.
And part of that point too is that we get requests for money all the time. Only certain things will fit in the ARPA umbrella, that what that money can be used for. If it doesn't fit in ARPA, we say, okay, where else can we look?
I'll be very happy when all this money's spent.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
It really opened us up to a lot.
Yeah, my thought process was just going through and thinking about something. I could be totally, out of the ballpark with this one, but thinking about like Center Theater, some of these pieces that need fixed there, and it not holding events is a detriment to the city on a massive scale, especially our local businesses here. So I was just thinking, I know that they've been looking for money, and I don't know what type of conversations they may have had with city staff, but would any of this money be applicable to them and some of the projects they have going on to get them to, full force and, just going gangbusters with events, bringing people to the city?
So, yes, so to answer a few of your questions, one is that we looked at this list in 2024. We had the chance to obligate the Center Theater if we so choose. That did not happen. So that's one thing to consider. Second, we did obligate money to House Hope in that conversation, and then this is fitting within that criteria. None of the categories that we have locked in fit for the center theater. The other part of this conversation with center theater is that they need a lot more money than we could. In fact, $3.8 million would probably be a little bit less than what they fully needed to do the entire project. So they've raised $1.8 million already. They need an additional $2 million to get finished. There's nothing really that we can contribute that would do that. At the same time, they also have funding options and mechanisms they can do that we've spoken with them for 4 years now about, that no other entity like a private business could do. They can borrow money as a quasi-governmental agency at a better rate than any other business can. So there is a model, and in fact, if you've been following what they were doing, they actually are going after taking debt out as we recommended. And so that's been our kind of contribution, is that my staff and I met with them many times to discuss finances and how to help them through it. They're finally going after the $2 million through a loan because they've already raised this money, because they can't raise the additional $2 million, it seems. So they seem like they're actually in a better spot now than they were maybe a year ago. So that kind of led to that conversation. Suit County Council approved them having that bond or even taking out a USDA loan. They could be open relatively soon, but they need, it was a $4 million project, not a $1.6 million project.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I knew we couldn't do anything like that, I just didn't know if there was a smaller, like, fix that they needed,
Well,
or not,
and
that's
like,
all my question.
and I mean, the thing is, I don't like, I would never recommend to you guys just to give money to an organization that's just gonna go into a pot, because then where does that money go, how can we account for it? Well, we've always looked at for stuff. So this one, they need a roof. House Openers requested a roof and they requested HVAC. So that's where I'm bringing it back to you guys to see if you're so inclined to do that. Center Theater needs $2 million, and that's what they estimate the need. Now, there are projects they can do within that are good, but again, they need to get open as soon as possible, so they needed the full amount of money.
And I think that sort of request is gonna come back when they know that, okay, this is the specific widget we need to make this work, can you contribute? And then when that time comes, we're gonna have this conversation.
Yeah, that specificity is
Yeah.
what I was really
Yeah.
trying to get out,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
specific, not
And-
just a blank check.
And for Center Theater, they have the opportunity that House does not have. They would be a shoo-in for accommodations money every year because of the events that they do. Them being closed, we can't give them money through accommodations because it won't be used for that. So, once they open back up, there is ample opportunity to get funding to Center Theater on a more operational, ongoing basis, which is what we discussed with them. And that excited them, but they just need to get open. So. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be doing we're gonna be doing some work with our attorneys to get this going, and we're talking to House of Hope. If something should happen and we can't get this ironed out in agreement, I'm not gonna bring it to you guys until it's done. So just so you know, it might, if we need to do a special meeting, if that's an issue, but, we're gonna get this all ironed out first, is the goal. But the intent is to bring it to you guys next week. Okay?
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next up, we have the 4th Street, which is another exciting project. So, there was a couple questions that came out from this. So, the SCDOT, after talking with one of our representatives, a big shout out to Cody Mitchell, who helped set this up. They approached us about a project potentially doing this next year for 4th Street sidewalks. We said we're ready to go. We had 2 weeks to turn around. So we used the Washington Street estimates to do a proposal, which has turned out to be about $3.3 million for, I think, 7,400 feet, linear feet of sidewalks. And as they explained to us, this probably will be in phases. The reason why is because they give themselves about 6 years to get these projects done. This is SCDOT time, so just understand that, not city time. They are gonna be the engineers for this project, because we don't qualify, we don't have a professional engineer on staff. So as they are doing that, they have to be the ones kind of leading it. They're gonna split up into 4 phases. The first phase was $600,000, and then the remaining 2.7 initial estimate could be broken down into additional phases. A logical kind of breaking up for the phases, I believe that's 4th Street, wherever the railroad is, there's Lowe's, there's a railroad. That's a logical kind of break for the phases. Do we have to negotiate a railroad crossing as part of this? That's $500,000 a load, I hope. So the idea is to create the sidewalk, multi-use path sidewalk all the way down. There's gonna need to be right-of-way acquisition. There's gonna need to be engineering done, potentially some relocation of lines. But the idea is that we will have a fully used, multi-use path within a
So the next
relative
phase will be
timeframe.
from the railroad down to
I would
Washington
think,
Street?
I would think that the phase two could be split into two phases, so phase two would be here or here, and then break for the railroad and then go to phase three, which would be the rest of it. But phase two is largely, it could be phase 2A, 2B, if you wanna go that, technical.
Gotcha.
But they are, as they do the engineering and design, that number could go up. And in the way things are going, that number will probably go up, it's the reality. But we never would have had an opportunity to do this if we hadn't, if DOT hadn't increased their funding. They essentially limited the cap on TAP programs, which went from $500,000, which you could do anything with, to unlimited. But they approached us about this, they said this was a great project for us, let's get the engineering done, we got it turned around, that's what we got awarded. As Casey was mentioning, the city's portion is 20%, but because we're a rural area, we actually qualify for additional 10% match. So it'd be a 90-10 split. We can still additionally seek funding from local organizations too, to help split that. We are gonna be going after CTC funds, who just again helped pave the Marion Road. We can go after that. We can go after any type of nonprofit who wants to assist. And so that 10% could be more manageable. And again, it's split over potentially 6 years, 5 to 6 years. So we'll be budgeting this as we go forward with the project. But this is huge for us.
That's good.
The governor's school, we just had a meeting with them, they're a student council Saturday. They were super excited. Now, none of them will see it because we're all graduating, but they were excited for the governor's students who have to walk in those ditches and anyone else who's walking. Coupled with PDRTA, what they're doing, this is gonna really help streamline and connect our city.
So would it, it's gonna be I should be saying, east side of 4th Street?
That depends. So it's gonna really boil down to right away and where we think we can do it. We've talked to DOT for years about this, and it never was feasible to do it with the monies that they had inside. Now, because TAP is allowing us to do it, we can actually explore this option. So it's gonna be just one side,
You're
because
right.
that's all we can fit.
I know we got some flat sidewalk, I'm putting
Yeah.
flat.
There's sidewalk, there was sidewalk
East side.
from 4th Street,
Yeah, on the east side.
down to about the church.
Railroad.
And then we stopped it because the canal project came online. And they didn't wanna put in sidewalk where there's potential, so that project got halted. So there is existing sidewalk, my goal is to do it, gonna be fluctuating based on the side, what right away we have, but a 10-foot is the goal, multi-use path. So it could be used for bike, pedestrian, and so it's gonna probably go down to probably about 4 to 6 though. And we're gonna try and mix in the asphalt, concrete, whatever makes sense. I know runners like asphalt rather, so I'm trying to do asphalt, but it's just gonna depend, it's gonna depend wholly on the right of way and what we can acquire. But the fact that we got it, the project is going forward, so they will be doing all that.
And with the right of way, would we have to, do any eminent domain?
They would, potentially, yeah.
DOT
Potentially.
has to do it, yeah.
Same thing when, like, for instance, the 14th Street roundabout,
Yeah.
they're gonna be acquiring property, yeah. So that's absolutely a possibility, and again, it just, all factors into the cost.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't doing it.
No, DOT is leading this project. Our only obligation, as we said, is the financial agreement. We have to cut a check and everything else is taken care of. And the project will be done, so.
They did really well out, 5th Street, out near, what used to be the toy store along there, and, what was it, 112, the line 112, yeah. Yeah, they did that sidewalk down there, and that's really, really nice.
And I know, like, some people have asked again, why, to expand 4th Street, there isn't room to do that. So the only room they have, this is literally all we can fit in there is a multi-use path. There's not enough room to expand it without acquiring a lot more property, which makes it not feasible. So this is the best improvement we're gonna get on 4th Street, and that's the reality. Okay,
Alright.
any questions? So, just so you know, next few budgets, you'll be seeing a lot of, some money being hesitate to it. So, I mean, ultimately, it's about 3.15 million. I mean, $315,000. So we have to look at that as we the next 6 years. It's an obligated phase. So I'll be doing that broken up the next few budgets going forward. And to answer your question, Teresa, we're going to be looking at similar projects to do like 6th Street, 7th Street, those sort of things. While we have this TAP program, we have it going because we're the applicant. We can't do it in our TAP program. However, other entities can.
Yes.
So we'll be partnering. Some schools really make some good chances to do that. So it's opportunities that we have to do. Because CDBG couldn't even touch
Right.
6th Street. Okay. All right. Lastly, okay, next is I want to give you guys an update. I had a question, Brian reached out to me again about what's going on with FTTC, and I've been talking with Dr. Ford about what the next steps are. So a little bit of history, as you guys know, the state has $30 million to build a FTTC campus in downtown Hartsville. Or in Hartsville, we were approached by the state, by Sunoco executives, by other entities around town to talk about how we can make this a reality and make it downtown. So we met with their staff, with FTTC staff and their engineers, and were able to iron out a proposal to use the 10.5 acres that we had available for this project. Just for clarity, this was our third option we wanted them to go with. We tried to get them to work with neighboring entities as much as possible. None of those deals were able to come full. They put it about 3 to 6 months in there trying to get those done. But the Coker property, for instance, didn't pan out, and then the neighboring warehouse is not paying out. So this became the only option to make it in downtown Hartsville. The goal was to create an environment, or to create something that would benefit us as well as FTTC. So we boiled it down to doing a highly dense kind of location in that corner. That's about 2 acres is what they need to build their structure. They need parking. The original proposal that this blocking is showing, because this is just the initial concept, we're redesigning this right now because that's too much parking in my opinion. They designed it based on, but they designed it though based on our code.
Yeah.
So our code is the problem, not them. And that's what we're actually looking at reducing with our Unified Development Ordinance, is parking requirements, is for density. So that parking will be reduced. I know it's difficult to see. These are different colors. This is the FTTC side. What they need is just this. And the goal was to build out parking around the interior of the site, which is similar to what previous designs for the canal project were. The thing that we get is that we get the parking built for us to then support a downtown mixed use on the exterior, similar to every other block in the city of Hartsville. So if you look at all the blocks around us, parking lots are in the center. There's typically, for about 5 acre block, there's about 2 acres of parking that is already obligated for parking for this block, for the block for SBC, for the block behind Hoofenhound. That's a little bit smaller because it's not as developed. But parking has to be part of it. The goal though is to make sure we have as limited parking as possible, have as much green space as possible. And that's why that big thing in the center is that there's a significant opportunity to make this into an event space in the middle of that area. As long as we can work with the stormwater, we could do something pretty cool in that middle to turn the downtown inward, which is something I think was the initial concept for this idea. But them building this and then deeding back the parking lot for us so we don't have to build it ourselves is a significant cost savings for the city, significant. I'm looking at potentially about 2 or 3 to 4 acres worth of parking. That can go down significantly if we allow on-street parking throughout the development. As little big parking lots as we can, with as much green space as the goal. Then we will then be able to sell off these areas for commercial and mixed-use development. So it's the same idea from 2017, minus the center area because that wasn't enough parking. And instead of a hotel here, we have an FTTC. They are trying to design a 600-person conference center in there, but that is going to come down to what the state's willing to pay. So we are looking at about a $30 million plus investment in our downtown, which is insanely amazing because cities beg for this type of development. It's kind of
1,000 people every day.
It's a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity for us to have. you know, location-wise, I think that this could provide the anchor that we need for this area, because right now, every single time we try to develop it, it's difficult with not having something there. So I'm waiting on the, for them to finalize the phase 1 environmental. We had one done in 2019. It came up clean, so hopefully that will still be the case. If that's the case, they can move forward because the site is relatively ready. It would create, the design is gonna again actually create a road to then create a viewpoint into the governor's school. Governor's school is doing their project as well. They wanna invest in they need about $80 million. They don't have any funding yet, but they wanna build up to this project property line right here, so this will mirror each other with creating more of a downtown environment. So it really is extending downtown in a project that is mostly funded by the state for us. So next steps, again, like I said, finalize the mixed use, reduce the parking, and then increase green space is the goal that's happening right now.
So what's the move that, Florence Dog would take?
What's the what?
What's the move about this project?
So they have,
Positive.
again, so if you go back in history, you know, there's Jay Lucas secured $20 million with significant kind of support from the community. I know late Lewis Brown was deeply involved with that. Then Senator Malloy secured an additional $10 million in this last session. So that $30 million is set aside to build a Hartsville campus. And the idea was because you look at Florence Darlington Tech, Darlington wasn't really getting the same level of kind of the bang for the buck as Florence was. And so the idea was to build a second campus. This idea is they had looked at doing 3 different programs here. The first one was going to be it's advanced machinery, which is what Sunoco and like Nucor and all those need, Duke. And then the second was nursing. And they had a third option for a CDL, but they're going to keep that at their old campus. The biggest hurdle is that when they first were designing it, they were trying to design another campus like they had out on the highway. And that's 30 plus acres. That is a sprawling, I mean, it takes a minute to get to the back of it. And so the idea was to get them to understand that this is a downtown, if you're gonna build it downtown, you have to make it downtown-like. Like think about Columbia, think about our ones. And if they're bringing in the number of students they estimate to bring in, 1,000 students a day, who are gonna be spending. So the goal is to, how can we benefit from the most? This project has been sitting, we have heavily invested in this project, heavily. The idea is we have to understand that we're not gonna get out as much that we put into it immediately. And that's where I think it makes sense if we can reduce our costs the most, as best we can, and putting in the infrastructure such as parking lots, green space, a road, a roundabout, that is a significant cost savings to us. It helps offset those things for us. So it makes this project actually feasible for us versus if we were doing it all ourselves, not as feasible. If we can do it right and continue to make sure that we're getting what we need out of it, we stand a good chance to benefit greatly. But it's gonna take some dedication and committing to it. We're gonna need to be at the table, which I think we have been so far. And so I think we're in a good position.
So they're not getting cold feet?
No, I mean, we're going back to, we're on state time now again. They are, there's a lot going on at the state, if you haven't noticed. And so they are still seeking that fund, still seeking approval for various little things to get started. That phase 1, of course, I did offer, we could have paid for it, still might be able to pay for it if they do it through our Brownfields grant. They move forward with the state. I'm not sure the state wants to use state money or, to do that, or federal money. There's a couple things like that. He has to fundraise for the remaining money because I think it's gonna be probably closer to about $50 or $60 million project. So if that's just them investing in it, then we can turn around to a developer and say, hey, this is what's going on if you wanna buy out the sections. We stand a better chance of actually selling off those side pieces with the support than we do if we're doing it by ourselves. Because we have not had any success trying to cordon this thing off yet. It's just not feasible yet.
Then that way, we'd be able to recoup.
We'd be able to recoup some costs. I mean,
Right.
you're recouping it and selling off pieces of property, but
Right.
the main thing that we're saving on is the infrastructure.
Yes.
This is a multi-county business park. It does have monies we can dedicate towards it. It's the second one of the multi-county business parks that we have, so it still has some life on it. All that money's right now it's generating about $300,000 a year. All that can go in towards debt to pay off any additional improvements we need to make in there, and that's another selling point for us to do. Now, we have lost the momentum, or not the momentum, but the opportunities as an opportunity zone. Those kind of really good incentives that Tim Scott was influential in getting in, those have all gone away.
So they've gone away?
Yeah, it starts tearing down, kind of like phasing out. And so if anyone were to invest now, there's some investment, but not a lot.
Oh, so.
That's for the
This is
opportunity.
located in opportunity.
This is an opportunity
So,
zone, but that's
are-
phasing out in 2026.
So are the opportunity zones gone away now?
No, it still
still
has
designated.
the main, when you invest in the beginning, you get the most bang for your buck.
Gotcha.
Every years and 2 years or 3 years, it starts to teeter off.
Okay.
The biggest incentive we have for this thing is the multi-county business park. We have the ability to spend back to the site to do it. We were trying to pitch that back when we were trying to sell the canal project, but even with that, I was not able to sell that to anybody. No one wanted to invest because we were telling them what to do, and they frankly laughed it off. So this is something that if we can show them this with a school anchor, and as my idea is to take this triangle and actually create a bigger amphitheater space for our residents. It's bigger than Bury, so it can hold bigger events. If we can do something like that and then create the exterior for mixed use, so think of our downtown buildings, 2 to 3 stories, residential on top, commercial below. It's expanding our downtown.
Do we have any idea how much we might sell those downtown mixed-use projected properties for?
Well, I think when this was originally appraised, and that was kind of a tough one, the appraisals came back at like 2.2 million for the whole thing, but that was utilizing some of the existing sales of that area, and those were, in my opinion, inflated the cost. Like for instance, this section alone sold for $250,000, and it wasn't worth that. We bought it rather for $250,000. And there's a number of those stories throughout this property, back in 2019. So, the idea though is once we do, I will get appraisal for the lot for the buildings and maybe sell this as a quarter, then this one, then this one. And I believe it should be somewhat, there should be some money coming back to us for that.
And has Florence London Tech provided us with any sort of information about what the projected economic impact they could have on the
Yeah.
city of Hartsville?
They are preparing that as part of their, they're going out for donations. We're gonna get the first look at that to see what it's gonna be doing. I've asked for that since the beginning. They were getting significant pressure from the state to get this thing obligated. That's why we did that resolution. Now, the resolution promises that we are willing to work with them on this. It does not actually transfer the land or anything like that. However, the state is moving forward based on that. So yes, I've asked for that explicitly. I want to know exactly what they're going to do. I can tell you anecdotally what 100,000 people downtown will do for us, which is great. They got to eat, they got to do things like that. Are they I think they have a similar impact like the Cobra students do. I mean, they're spending money when they're here. But I think it's too early to tell right now exactly what it is. But a 600-person conference center, for instance, would be huge for us. And that's why I'm hoping they're able to secure that as well.
And then my last question.
Yeah.
Traffic flow.
Yeah.
How are we anticipating this development's effect on traffic downtown? Since we can't expand railroad, we're not gonna expand 4th Street, so we're gonna be able to handle all that increased traffic?
So I think the answer is yes and no. So Lawrence Street is part of the idea in our master plan to expand this out and make it a little more accessible down throughout here. Doing this will greatly help alleviate that. But we did look at traffic studies back in 2017 when the initial plan went in, the fact that had almost triple the density of this, and it was okay. Traffic is going to increase, but that's kind of the reality. So yes and no, I'd have to have a traffic study done with this, and that's gonna be on them to do it. And any engineers can come here, but I mean, that's kind of the goal we want. This was gonna be expanded, otherwise we just make it a park and be done with it, Cause that's the only way it's gonna not have traffic.
Are they gonna be able to build that for 30 million?
No, I think they need about 50 million.
No.
I think they need 50 to 70 million actually, if I'm thinking about it.
That's the conversation interesting in the state. So So us selling it to them, we just depleted their budget.
Well, we're not gonna sell anything until it's time. The main thing is that if they, it's just, right now, costs are so high for everything. I mean, I'm looking at a triple the cost for utilities. When I first did, last seven we did for Bay Commons was $60 a linear foot. And now they're estimating about $150 to $200 a linear foot just for water and sewer. And so it's just crazy. So hopefully they'll be able to do it, but the state, you know, they're aware of this just as much as we are.
Indeed.
If we look at Daniel, the highway side,
Yeah.
what's the highway out there? Right,
15, Marquis.
yeah. As an outlet.
Oh, connecting
That would
over back out
probably
that,
be-
yeah, railroad can go that, we can connect out to railroad, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be the main arteries going in now as well, it can be. I mean, the reality is that we were approached by the state and by several prominent,
Right.
businesses here. And they requested this be downtown Hartsville. This was not the city's idea to start, they approached us. We, again, begged them to find, for 6 months, find other properties, make it happen somewhere else. This is what we want, this is what we wanna do, getting weekly calls about it. And then when we finally were able to do it, we came up with that idea and they were all very happy, it seems. I think it can be a benefit to us, especially once we came up, if we gave them all 10.5 acres, that'd be a, no, not at all.
Correct.
Even giving them, if they weren't gonna give these parking lots, no, because then we'd lose 6 acres out of it. If we can use these to support this growth and not have to build it, that's the big thing. Cause like I said, I measured all the parking lots around this entire area, you need parking to support these things, unfortunately. But as much as we can work with them on the zoning and the codes, we will reap that benefits down the road, and that's the goal right now, is to make sure that we are being a smart growth, do a tailored approach to this thing. It can be its own PUD. So if we tailor this to benefit us, we stand to gain the entire time. So that's what we have to do. And that's what we're going to do.
Bring out that many people that downtown every day, we're gonna benefit from.
I think so. And that's just, I mean, if a developer looks at that and goes, okay, I have this going on, I have students walking around, might need apartments for them, things like that. It's a better sell than just trying to sell them, gondolas.
Like I said, that,
Just wanna give you an update, that's where we're at, we're waiting on the state, again. So this is still moving forward, that's the plan.
if it comes through, it's going to definitely benefit the city. And like I said, with the improvement of the work that was done over there.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, and if it falls apart, if FTTC can't do it, we still own it. So I
Right.
mean, it's a relatively low risk for us. I don't mind waiting again while the costs are down. That's why when we did that $1 million payback to the Byerly Foundation, we built in time to be able to handle this growth. We gave ourselves 14 years to pay ourselves back for the $1 million. We knew that the economy was kind of going through something. We gave ourselves time. Now, every minute this is empty, just like Center Theater, it hurts us. But at the same time, if we jump forward with the wrong plan, that's the thing too. That can hurt us as well. Okay? All right, just want to give you an update. As soon as I have something, I'll let you guys know. And as soon as I need something from you, I'll let you guys know. But that is all I have. It's your turn now.
All right, well, thank you for the update on all those things, there's a lot going on. And thanks everybody for the engaging discussion. I think that's all we have for today, and hearing no objection,